Okay, dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. After the wonderful lunch, I have to keep you awake. As a leader of the working package 8 of the the ACCCSEAS project, I am expected to inform you with this presentation about the motivation of intended organizational aspects for the further development and the implementation of e-navigation after the project ends on the 1st of March 2015. It may not be a surprise to you that it is our intention to build on the legacy of ACCCSEAS. In order to take you with us in our thoughts, this presentation handles about the following aspects. What do we know? What we don't know yet? What do we expect? What to do? How to do it? So, what do we know? In order to face these developments, there's something wrong in the paper. Oh, yeah. So, what do we know? Working package 3 of the ACCCSEAS baseline report clearly indicated what the major challenges for the North Sea region we will face in the near future. And I use the word near because 5 to 6 years from now, in relation to the history of the maritime domain, is a rather short period. Over the next few years, it's anticipated that the shipping density will increase with bigger ships, leading to reduced maneuverability in tighter shipping lanes, etc. This is compounded by the fact that there is growth of offshore installations such as wind farms and oil and gas platforms. And you don't have to be an ace in mathematics to understand that this will lead to an even larger reduction in navigable space. Consequently, the safety at sea, the protection of the marine environment, as well as the accessibility of the region and its seaports will be put under pressure. In order to face these developments and consequential challenges, situational awareness by each and every user or user group is essential. Only joint efforts and intensive collaboration can lead to success. However, to make the situation more complex, there is a large variety of users of the North Sea with their own interests and needs. And besides that, we also have to deal with the fact that 8 coastal states have their own national policies, responsibilities and interests. And in all countries, also quite a number of regional and or local competent authorities are involved. We also know that in the International Maritime Organization for the Worldwide Harmonization Program e-navigation, during the conceptual development, the needs and requirements of the users have been identified. Over the years, considerable work was done in IMO, supported by all other relevant international organizations such as IAMA, ISO, CIRM and others. National administrations were involved, stakeholders and industry, to develop a strategic implementation plan for e-navigation. The concept is ready, and after approval by the NSC, it's expected that gradual realization of prioritized e-navigation solutions based on identified user needs will start in 2015. Another major development is the presentation by the Secretary General of IMO at the World Maritime Day in 2013. His views on and the concept of the sustainable maritime transportation system. And this concept contributes to an overall integrated transportation system for the future, recognizing that the maritime part is connected to other transport modalities. The trend I mentioned in respect to the reduction of the maneuverable space is here clearly indicated, and a major future role concerning management of shipping is foreseen to VTS due to its increasing information position and consequently its increasing capabilities to support other services and organizations with data and information. And there is also the need to bring more coherency between all European plans and programs related to the future regional maritime transportation system. In fact, an elaboration of the EU policy document's white paper. For some years now, we are faced with a program called e-Maritime. For many involved, it is not yet clear what the scope will be, what the aims are, and what the actual deliverables will be. Recently, I was informed that the new team will start with the further development of e-navigation, and that is good news. However, hopefully, the outcome of this process will continue to the concept, will connect to the concept of ACCSEAS, the Sustainable Maritime Transportation System, and thus not provide us with new food for confusions. What we know and can expect is that e-navigation, through its functional and technical capabilities, will support the concepts of SMTS and e-Maritime. And now it stops somewhere. Oh yeah. So we also know what the core elements of e-navigation will be. We have the architecture of the whole concept. For a regional implementation, however, this may diverge, as every region has its own characteristics and requirements for services. The human factor, not only economic reasons, but with a special interest to decrease the workload and to avoid the threats of fatigue. The development of uniform format messages and reports. As you heard this morning already, GNSS and the solutions to solve the vulnerability of the satellite systems. Present and new communication technologies and data management, although some don't like to hear it, and IMO has decided to keep it, to keep the development of e-navigation and the modernization of GNSS as separate processes, there is a link which can't be overlooked. Then we have the full implementation of the electronic multiple charge, and finally aiming, as far as practical, at full standardization of technologies, interfacing, applications, services, and procedures. Applications and services will have a functional and a technical side. Equipment and infrastructure to be incorporated and or developed for ship and shore. To achieve the coherency and usability, the transparent architecture is a key factor. Otherwise, we will fail to achieve one of the important aims of e-navigation, and that's harmonization. The combined functional and technical aspects of an application of service form a maritime service portfolio. And a number of important decisions have been made already. There will be the development of a common shared maritime data model, all to be inserted into one registry that will be accessible for everyone who needs the definitions and specifications for product developments. Product specification of each maritime service will be made, and the need for open interfacing. As already said before, the development of e-navigation services and solutions is an ongoing process, as also user needs and requirements are expected to evolve in time. We also know what ACCSEAS will deliver. The project will provide us with some tested optional solutions, MSPs, and indications for further future work. It will indicate how e-navigation in the North Sea region may look like. However, it should be noted that as a project, the real decision what the structure of e-navigation will be in the area, architects and services to be provided and the infrastructure will have to be made by the responsible competent authorities of the various coastal states. and of regional or even local authorities and organizations. Dealing with challenges as mentioned, it's also quite clear that the implementation of e-navigation in the region will not provide in a single solution, but that this can only be achieved in conjunction with other measures and instruments. The collaboration between and involvement of all parties concerned on every level is essential for the sustainable layout and utilization of the North Sea region, as well as for the execution of responsibilities and tasks. So the next one, that is what we don't know yet. First, although we are quite confident that with the choices for a number of tests, we can contribute to the enhancement of safety and accessibility in the MSR, we have to wait whether the results of ACCSEAS will gain the support and acceptance of users, authorities, and of the international community. Secondly, the coherency of policies and views of the various coastal states has to be further established. We have to find out whether there is political will to further tuning of national plans and to intensify collaboration, with a view to the establishment of a truly regional approach to meet the described challenges. We don't know yet how the architecture of e-navigation in the MSR will look like, which MSPs will be offered, and what the coherency between these MSPs will be. It may be obvious that the impact of a future e-navigation will be great on a variety of fields, as he reflected. As e-navigation will be implemented later on, it will not be possible to give the answers yet, but they will become more clear once choices have been made. And one of the major challenges, and this is a response to one of the questions this morning by Nienke, that was one of the major challenges in this respect are the legal issues. For instance, in respect to the use, the reuse and exchange of data and information, there is a need for an international framework, but who is taking the lead on that? We're still waiting. We raised the question now for a few years, and we're still waiting on that. And finally, not unimportant nowadays, as we heard the concern of several user groups, what will be the financial consequences of the implementation of e-navigation in the region? It's needless to say that this may have an impact on eventual support for the proposals and the decisions to be made. We are obliged to identify the financial consequences for both the shore-based and the shipboard sites. A distinction can be made on the services to be provided and investments in hard and software. It may be expected that safety-related services will be delivered for free, as being a public responsibility or task. However, it's also thinkable that non-safety-related services meeting user needs could be introduced, and in this case, probably the user pays principle can be handled. Harmonization of present services and new ones undoubtedly will lead to investments for both sides. At this stage, however, it can't be indicated yet what those costs will be. So what do we expect, ladies and gentlemen, from the ACCSEAS project? There it is. The results of ACCSEAS may contribute to the development in IMO, IALA, and to other European programs such as e-maritime. That the manner tests are conducted, its results and its future organization of implementation in various aspects, ACCSEAS could be taken as an example for other regions, inside and outside Europe. ACCSEAS could contribute to a bigger situational awareness in the region, and that its tested services, although the variety is still incomplete, will contribute to the enhancement of the regional safety and accessibility. And finally, we identified that ACCSEAS will generate future work to be done after the project has ended. when we look at e-navigation, we expect that at the end of this year, IMO will approve the strategic implementation plan. That the gradual implementation of e-navigation will start in 2015. That e-navigation, through its functional and technical capabilities, will be supportive to further development of the SMTS and e-maritime. That single applications and services, or even MSPs, will not meet the challenges and solve the foreseen problems in the North Sea region, but only a combination of MSP services and other measures enhancing the interaction between ship and shore in conjunction with those other measures and services, such as, for instance, the marine spatial planning, routing. You can even think on VTNs beyond territorial water. It can lead to a success. So for the North Sea, we expect that the regional collaboration on every level will be established. That competent authorities start making decisions. As a result thereof, the impact and consequences, as mentioned, will be identified. That the first set of MSPs will be in place, not right away, but let's say in the year 2020. And as a result thereof, safety and accessibility, despite circumstantial changes in the near future, at least will be kept at the same levels as the present. The question now is, what at least has to be done during the project and after the project ends. First, as already said, we have to identify the will for regional collaboration. It's essential for success, and we have to identify that support. Secondly, we have to establish a regional e-navigation forum. The question now will be, is it a standalone forum just for the region, or do we join an existing platform? Although there may be some possibilities for the latter, the preference could be for the first, in order to prevent that other interests will harm the focus of the work to be done for e-navigation and leads us away from the specific needs of shipping and traffic management concerning safety and accessibility. However, this should not prevent us to establish working relationships with other parties with an interest in the same region. And of course, such a forum needs an organization and very clear and very transparent terms of reference. Third, the work to be done should be secured in a framework with direct links to developments in IMO, IALA and EU. Let us not make the mistake, which to my opinion has been made in IMO, that the original idea of e-navigation all of a sudden started to grow as a kind of broccoli. It became bigger and bigger, and if you ask people what is e-navigation, they have their own view from their own perspective on e-navigation. The results of ACCSEAS and the regional view on e-navigation and its various aspects will have to be disseminated to other bodies as well. It's already indicated we expect further future work to be done. Working package 8 of ACCSEAS will have to deliver a sustainable work plan 2020 plus, which includes a program, a roadmap and a common supported plan for the implementation of e-navigation in the region. And last, in this summing up, we should ensure that during the ACCSEAS project and after the project ends in 2015, the communication between regional parties involved will be maintained. This can be done by using the ACCSEAS format of views, what we call views, the vertical integration working groups on specific aspects, by organizing workshops and by regularly keeping everyone informed using various media. How to do it? Well, this is quite a simple list. We have to continue with the e-navigation awareness. Tell what e-navigation is. Don't make it more beautiful or don't make it more complicated than it already is. We have to disseminate these results to a very broad audience. As far as practicable, answer and indications to all the open questions I just raised have to be given during the project or transferred to a next phase, and it may be ACCSEAS 2 or whatever project it may be in the future. We have to urge the relevant national competent authorities to join forces and specifically explain them what the benefits are. And well, our national authority is quite interested in saving money, like everyone else. So common or shared investments in that kind of issues are opportunities. We have to involve all the relevant stakeholders, and specifically service providers and users from the start. So keep on going what we are now doing. Create a workable framework on level playing field for the implementation of e-navigation and future work. And very important, define the scope. That we have boundaries, we don't exceed, and that we are coming into a project which we can't control and handle anymore. Stay in line with IMO, IALA and EU developments and connect to other relevant programs. The representative of the European Commission gave some indication on that. And continue future collaboration forum on the organizational and structural legacy of ACCSEAS. So these are the things how to do it. Then I have a small remark. And well, as a former radio officer, I have to mention that. Communication is transmitting and receiving, which is very difficult for normal people, and is extremely difficult for specialists. Another thing is, collaboration is give and take, but it also means that future project partners or participants in a collaborative forum should refrain from solitary behavior. And I understand that this is sometimes very difficult. So, you see also here the organizational structure of ACCSEAS as it is at present, and you can see that there is connection with some internal groups. We have, for instance, two specific groups. We have the Transnational Advisory and Guidance Group that's intended for policymakers and competent authorities with a mandate to make decisions on a regional implementation. But as you may understand, ACCSEAS as a project does not have this mandate, but is delivering potential solutions and proposals. Another group is the one of the service providers. And until now, both groups didn't meet because we didn't have anything to decide yet. After project end, these groups should continue as a legacy, but we have to make sure that the proper organizations are on board. The same can be done with the present e-navigation forum. At present, it's organized in the form of a one-day working group meeting back-to-back with the annual conference. And the combination of the TAC and the service provider group could ensure the future collaboration between the national authorities, important local authorities and service providers with a view at absorbing the feedback from the users to make choices and the custodianship for the implementation plan of e-navigation in the region. And this platform also has to identify and translate all aspects of impact as earlier described. Deliverables of this platform, where appropriate, should be communicated to all parties involved participating in the proposed e-navigation forum. It's obvious that the interaction and the dialogue between the two circles shall be ensured on a very high level and laid down in a communication plan as part of the Sustainable Work Plan 2020. The program, the roadmap and the overall plan for implementation of e-navigation in the North Sea region. Thank you very much.
Peter, thank you very much indeed for setting the scene for our final session of the day by providing that oversight of how we should think about taking ACCSEAS forward in the future. Are there any questions that people want to ask of Peter at this stage, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Excellent presentation, and it really shows also the complexity of the issues which has to be looked at. My question to you would be: do you see the current approach with the North Sea region being the good approach, and you're keeping on this regional level which you showed in the map and which ACCSEAS have been working right now? Or would it be good to involve more members or participants to that? And the second thing is, what about if as there has been this, as I presented yesterday, the e-maritime forum option where also the action plan will be worked on? How would you see collaboration between these two groups?
Thank you for the very simple question. The first question is more or less based on experience we had before. Many of you probably will remember that once we developed the Global Maritime Distress and Safety System, and we established in the North Sea a forum, and what's in the name? The North Sea Regional Coordination Conference under GMDSS. Never try to speak it when you're drunk. The good thing was that all those 8 countries were involved, and all the important decision makers and service providers were involved. We started with 6 people, we ended up with 40. And we were the first region in the world who really were ready with GMDSS. And we were an example for that. And knowing that, I happen to be the chairman of that group, knowing what the success was and the pitfalls what we are facing now on the same situation, I think it might be a very good idea to start with first a regional group. And later on, during the process, you always can add other, let's say, stakeholders or users in the North Sea, for instance, people for the environment or whatsoever. And there are a lot of them. Because, and that's what I just said, especially in the beginning when you start with it, you have to focus on what you're going to do. And keep focus on the real issues, and that is safety and accessibility. Without losing sight, of course, there is an outside world. The relationship, on your second question, relationship with the now to be established e-maritime forum should be very tight. Also, the outcome and the results of the deliberations in that regional group can be presented in the e-maritime group as an example for other regions. I must admit that I don't feel like setting up a group where, for instance, the whole Mediterranean Sea is present, because they have completely other interests, they have completely other problems, etc. So that would put a shadow on the discussions, etc. So keep focus and make sure that the interactions with other fora are okay, but also put it down in a communication plan, so that we all know what ways and how the roads are going. I hope this answers your question.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Peter, that was excellent. Thank you for your time and a cracking presentation. I'm going to move on to the next stage now, if you don't mind, because I've lost control of timing again. The first thing I'd like to do is just to remind you to pick up your green gizmos. And we've just got a couple of questions to ask you to contribute to for this part of the seminar. So the first question is, how resilient are navigation systems? Halfway now. Anybody not done it? So, D, major concerns and accident waiting to happen, or C, needing further development, or pro to minor issues in that order of priority. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Okay, thank you very much, D. And the second question, which is, what poses the biggest threat to accessibility in the North Sea region? Off you go. About halfway now. Three more, I think. A, increase of wind farm installations, increase of overall vessel traffic, and E, which is workload on the mariner. Something of a phobia about wind farms, I would say. Right, question 3, what's your main concern about e-navigation, please? 3 to go. Oh, thank you. F, overconfidence leading to navigational risk-taking. A was cost, who will pay for it, and G was other. That's helpful. Which we're going to put other in. Right, thank you very much indeed for that, ladies and gentlemen. That will be collated by